Like, we're clearly having a rough time. A lot has already happened this year. January was full of enough stuff to fit a whole year, you know? And we're not okay. We put on a brave face, but we're not all right. Clearly, you can tell. That's a distraught laugh. It really is rough out here. Elmo asked us one question. It took nothing. Elmo just said, "How is everybody?" And the floodgates opened. As an internet user, I was embarrassed. The way that everybody just poured everything out to Elmo. If you didn't see it, Elmo tweeted, "Hey, just check it in. How is everybody?" And 185 million views. What, 1 million replies? I don't know how many replies. It was absolutely crazy. Everyone just told Elmo everything that was happening in the moment. There's no better indication that we need universal mental health care than everyone responding to Elmo like he was in the room. That's absolutely insane. I can't believe, poor Elmo. Elmo probably smoking a cigarette right now, trying to calm down after the horrific stuff. Because some people were sending in video, like, all he said was, "How is everybody?" And then people under him, right underneath, like, "They found me guilty, dog." Like, that's insane. This is not real right now. Go seek real help. That's just crazy. I felt for Elmo in that moment. I really did. I have a lot of different feelings about this from a lot of different angles, but the first one is that I felt bad for Elmo. Elmo didn't know. That's why Elmo asked. You know? You ever been that person? You ever been asking somebody how they're doing and then they tell you? You trying to make polite conversation. We won't even see each other in 4 minutes. Just pass by, "How you doing?" And then they're like, "Well, that's unacceptable. That is unacceptable social behavior." It's one thing if you say, you know, "How you doing?" and they say, "Well," and then they don't really want to get into it, and then you ask because you care. That's different, right? I'm not saying you can never tell people what's going on with you, but I'm saying we've all been that person. You in the break room at work. This is your break. This is the only time of day you get to yourself. You in the break room, and then somebody walk in, and you sitting there trying to eat your Hot Pocket, right? Trying to eat your Hot Pocket that you brought for lunch, and you just munching away, trying to have a good time, fighting to find something on YouTube just to get through the day. And then somebody walks in, your worst coworker, you know who they are. They walk in, and then they try to put something in the microwave, and they're pressing every button, just everything, putting it on potato, on popcorn, everything. And it's awkward because it's only the two of you in the room. And so you go ahead and say, like, "How you doing?" Just throwing it out there just to kill some of the silence because you couldn't get your earbuds in fast enough, right? And then they go, "Well, I think I married the wrong person." And you're like, "Oh, no! I'm eating my Hot Pocket. I'm not ready for this shit. What's wrong with you?" Just open it up like, I think, you know, because it's like sometimes people grow apart. But also it's important to fight for what you love. You know, you got to fight, but then when's the time to fight? Because, like, the kids love her. They love her. So if I lose her, I lose the kids. You know, even the dog loves her more. Maybe the dog loves her more because she doesn't do this. How about that? Maybe start there. Maybe the dog also is aware of who has the better vibes between the two of you. I don't know, man. I just feel like I'm married to my own casket. Oh, wow. That's rough. I got one more Hot Pocket if I can get past you real quick. No? How is everybody? Just Elmo asking, "How is everybody?" I mean, to be fair to us, I won't put it all on us. Some blame goes with Elmo, some of the blame goes with us. What a stupid question. Think about it. How is everybody is very much a 2012 question. Remember 2012? Remember hope? Remember that? Remember back in 2012? 2012 was supposed to be the last year on Earth according to the Mayan calendar. And we were still twerking like nobody's business, dancing to that Savage song. Remember that? Yep, swing. Remember that song? We were all dancing, no care in the world. If Elmo had asked us then, we'd be like, hey, it's not all good, but it's not all bad. He decided till after global pandemic and election year, high inflation. How's everybody doing? Get the fuck out of here. What a lunatic. What an absolute tone-deaf fuck. How is everybody doing? You know what it feels like? You know your friendliest friend. Just your real sweetheart of a friend. Like, you know they're a good person, but they're annoyingly good. Like, y'all be out together. Y'all be out as a group together, hanging out. Maybe 5 of you, 6, 7, 8 of you. And then you shut down the bar. The bar closes. Now you stand outside the bar trying to decide, hey, should I go to another bar? Should I go get food or should I go home, right? And y'all are trying to make this decision as a slightly buzzed group of people. And then a guy from out of nowhere, from the darkness, from the night, a man from the shadows will approach your group, right? And he doesn't look right. He doesn't look right. Everything is wrong. One arm is longer than the other. He doesn't carry his weight well. There's a lot happening. And then my man is just over here like walking up to y'all, and not walking up to y'all, really just slide to the... How's everybody's night going? And then your friendliest friend, your sweetest, friendliest friend, this idiot, will be like, oh, we're pretty good. How are you? Why would you ask that? The answer will not be good. No matter what it is, he's not having a good night. Nobody moves like that. He's having a very particular life. How are you? That's the type of person that's gonna answer you in full, right? In full paragraphs, in a monologue. How are you? Walk up. Well, I think I married the wrong person. You see what I mean? I just want to be like a fun guy. One of the reasons I'm not as fun is that I don't always understand or am caught up with trends. You know? Like, being hip is what makes you fun to people who don't already know you. You got good clothes on, you know, stylish, whatever. I didn't know what Stanley's, I didn't know what Stanley's, when I found out about Stanley's, I thought white women had just got more into hockey, right? Like, I was like, why is everybody shitting on them for just doing what dudes do all the time? But then I found out that it was a cup, and it's just a cup for holding water, and then I got upset. Then I was furious. I was like, you got these women beating each other in the back of the head in Target for a cup to hold water. This is dystopian behavior. They out here fighting in Target like it's Mad Max Fury Road. It's so upsetting. It's really crazy. I don't know if you've seen the videos, but wow. This is truly wild. Starbucks, I think it was Starbucks, made some sort of collaboration with Stanley, and they put it in Target for this pink Stanley. Now, the pink Stanley has fallen right out of the Barbie movie like a meteor to destroy the white community, all right? This is really bad. Because then when you see the video, and we've seen stuff like this, you've seen Black Friday videos, you've seen videos of people swinging on each other and everything. That's nothing new, really. But this is what bothered me, is that there's one video in particular where a guy tried to steal one. He wanted to steal one. He wanted one, right? This man tried to steal one. Remember that. The whole story for one, okay? This dude ran up and grabbed a box. Now, to be fair to everybody in the video, there's no way to know how many are in the box. He knows it's one, but it could be 36, right? He goes to run off with the box, and the whole video is just one woman's phone, and she's just going, "Stop him! Stop him! Stop him! Stop it!" And she really didn't need to yell anything because they were already on his ass. Like as soon as he peeled off, they were all behind him. And it was a swarm of white, I don't even know what you call this type of collection of white women. A bachelorette party of white women was chasing this man down. And they didn't just catch up to him, they grabbed him one limb at a time. Like this man was taken to the ground systematically. And then they look, I'm not saying, at the end of the video, they swarm him. I'm not saying they killed him, but you'd never see him again, all right? It's pretty jarring. Like, they just swarm him and his body just disappears. And I don't know which video y'all saw, but the one I saw, you hear him at the end of the video go, "Wah!" It's like, that might be a death rattle. They may have really got him. That sounds like the last noise a man make before he go. That was crazy. He wanted to steal one. And look, I get it. He's at the store. It's a crime. I understand. But you never have bystanders step in like that. Never see anything like that. For a cup. Never forget this is a cup. I don't even know does it hold more water than any cup? This is absolutely crazy. People are stealing them and selling them out of trunks. This is crack for white women. This is out of a trunk. I got the white, I got the pink, I got the blue. You like fuchsia? I can get you right. It's absolutely insane. Then turns out they're full of lead. We've been beating the shit out of each other for lead cups like it's the Industrial Revolution. Slapping it. I'm not gonna lie to you. This low-key feels like a power play by China. I think China was like, this is the year, 2024 is the year we take America down. No, I was very weirded out by it, but also if it makes you happy, it makes you happy. A part of me even was kind of excited when I saw all these videos, because I don't know, Stanley Cups, especially the pink ones, they're just Jordans for white women. Like this is the last time I see that type of behavior, just openly being robbed of your possessions. Speaking of Jordans, this blew my mind. There's a company that is letting people rent Jordans, like monthly. You can't afford the Jordans, you can rent it from us monthly for like $19.95 a month. It's one of the saddest things I've ever seen. It's like, if you're one of the people in here doing it, then I apologize, but I'm about to talk about you. This is truly insane. Like, you don't own it. What a great metaphor for being an American. It's like you don't own it, but you'll rent it because no one is gonna check if you own it. Like, to be fair, I've never looked at someone's gear and been like, but is it yours? It's never occurred to me. If you're wearing a hat, I assume that's your hat. I don't think that's on layaway. I think that's a hat you liked and so you bought it and you must own it, you know? But now it's created this weird thing for me, because what's the system like if you don't pay? Like the Jordan repo. Because think about this, how are you supposed to know? Let's say you have been making your payments, you're a couple months behind on those Jordans. How How are you supposed to know if you get repoed or regular robbed? Do you know what I mean? You turn down a dark corner and somebody like come about them Jordans and you're like, no, legally do I have to?
I'm just not as strong as I'd like to be. You know what I mean? Like, there have definitely been things that needed to be picked up. How about this? Very few people in my life have ever asked me to help them move. That's how you know you come off a little anemic to your friends. You know what I mean? Because I actually have anemia. But like, my thing is, if you're in the throes of like being your absolute strong, maybe I've watched too many movies, but I've just want to have like one period in my life where like I walk past stuff and I think about picking it up without the injury that might occur. You know what I mean? There have been people, okay, as an example, I try to be helpful, right? And I was in New York and I was I was on a subway and I was getting up the stairs. I had already got off the train, right? And on the second, there were 3 rows of stairs, right? And on the second row of stairs was a young mom who had a stroller with a baby in it, right? So then I'm like, okay, she already got up the first one. I'm not just gonna assume that she needs help, but the fact that she's doing it by herself and the stroller is hitting every step, she's shaking the baby. Like that's undeniable, just bow, 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 right? And so then I'm walking up and she looks like she's really contemplating how to do the second and third set of stairs because I think she must also felt like that was a lot of shaking, right? And so then I walk up and I'm like, hey, would you like a little help up? And then she was like, oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And then I actually go down a couple stairs, you know, so I can like protect my back, lift with my legs and everything, and keep the baby at the right trajectory, because now the baby's still gonna be at an angle. He's not gonna be like this and then... So then I grab the bottom of the stroller and I go to pick it up. And I put in the effort, but the baby doesn't move. And... I cannot tell if the stroller is made of titanium or if this baby is secretly 12. Like, because this is what's so embarrassing about what's happening right now, is that I have 2 people, one of which doesn't have object permanence yet, but 2 people who know exactly what's going on. They know that I've now offered to help and I cannot help. Because as I'm really, like, did you ever see The Sword and the Stone? It was... Because my hams and my quads are wiggling. And so I've got the wiggle going. So I know I'm putting in the effort, right? And I even readjusted and put my foot on a different step. Because I was like, that's a bad step. I don't like that step. That's what it is. That step was too low. It wasn't doing my legs any justice. Let me get up another step. So then I put, but this is a worse position to be in, right? So now I'm lower, and now I'm wiggling. But the thing, okay, so I'm wiggling so hard, and then I look up a little bit, and the baby is like. And I never thought that being judged by a baby would help me access more glute use than I ever thought possible, because then I look up and the mom is also like, and so then I look past them because they are not helping me right now. And I finally lift it up a little bit, and I get maybe knee height, right? Which this is not comfortable to go upstairs with weight, okay? But I start pushing, and I get up one step, and get up another step. And I cannot believe that this mom did this by herself, because I'm like, this is with help. And so sure enough, climbing up, and maybe a quarter of the way on the second set of steps, I start to feel a pain. I shouldn't say a pain. I start to feel 3 pains. One was in my back, one was in my quad, and one was in my hamstring. And other people are passing us, because I wasn't the only one that got off the subway. And as we're passing by, this other guy was passing by, much bigger dude, but he was like, "Do y'all need help?" Which is devastating. You ever been a good Samaritan and needed a good Samaritan? It was terrible. So then I'm turning to him to be like, I'm about to answer, and then the mom is like, "Yes." And so then this dude with one hand moves my hand and starts to take up some of the slack, right? And in my head, I'm like, all right, it's gonna be the 3 of us together. And okay, all right. So this dude moves this hand with this hand, moves it out of the way, and so now I'm just pinching both my hands on this other part, but he really is keeping it level in a way that's devastating. And then he was like, it brightens my day to help out a young, beautiful couple like y'all. Which means that as he was walking up the steps and got level with me, he was sure I couldn't carry my own son. And so I'm holding this one, and he's holding this one with one hand, right? Other hand in his pocket. He chilling. And then almost immediately, this young mom says, "Oh, we're not together." And in my head, I'm like, you couldn't fake. You couldn't save me the embarrassment for 17 more steps. We don't know this man. I don't know you. We're not together. And so then he goes, "Ooh, oh, okay. Well, we all try to make things work the best way possible." Now he thinks I am an absent father that isn't able to carry my own son. And so then she's like, "No, I don't know him." I was like, you really had to throw me under the bus right now. You couldn't just pretend to know me for 15 more steps. And then he goes, "Oh." And now he knows that I'm a stranger that can't pick up his not son. And I try to help people and everything, but this is too embarrassing. So after about the 4th step, I was like, "Hey, I'm late." do you think you could? And then he was like, oh yeah, and then he, both hands, and I walked up the stairs by myself and then ran. When I got to the top, I did not want to be seen again. That was terrible. How are you gonna, we not together? No, I don't know him. How are you? I was trying to be helpful. But I was hurt, like my pride was hurt. And so then I went home and got online and Googled the weight of that stroller, because I was like, this thing has gotta be like at least 100 pounds or something. Try and make myself feel better. Turns out it was all baby. That stroller is 8 pounds. I'm surprised it was holding the kid up. I was watching the news, because at first I saw it on the news and then it spilled over to social, so I was watching a lot of it. I saw where Tyreek Hill got stopped by the police, right? And I don't think he got arrested. I mean, he got detained for a bit, but he still made it to the game and did quite well. But the whole thing was pretty wild, and I made sure to watch like everything that got released, like the full body cam footage and everything, because I saw just so many people arguing about it online, right? And in case you didn't see it, basically Tyreek Hill, who's a football player, right? He is he's driving and gets pulled over, right? And anytime I'm on Twitter and I see like a video of a black dude getting pulled over, I'm like, well, it was a good day. I don't know what I'm about to see. And so, you know, you see the body cam footage of the cop walking up after they pulled him over to Tyreek's window. And Tyreek is sitting there in the car and everything, and then the cop knocks on the window, and then Tyreek lowers his window, looks at the cop and goes, "Don't knock on my window like that," and then rolls the window back up. And as an African American audience member, I was like, uh-oh. And you can tell, even the cop, you can't see his face because it's his body cam, but you can tell he's like, what? What just happened? So then he knocks on the window again, and he's like, yo, keep the window down. And he's like, don't knock on my window like that, right? Don't knock on my window like that. And they just go back and forth. He's like, keep the window down, don't knock on my window like that. Keep the window down, don't knock on my window like that. Now, to be fair, by now the window is just down. Like he's just, it's kind of like one of those things where you arguing with somebody, but they are doing the thing you asked them to do, but you still mad, so then you're like, and keep doing it. You just don't know what to say next. You're like, and stay doing it. And so then, you know, he hands him his license and registration, and then he rolls the window back up. And like, look. Look. Rolling the window up on anybody. I've never seen a respectful rolling of the window up, right? Like when I've been out and I've been in situations and I roll the window up, it's very clear what I mean, right? I remember one time I was with my friend Mike in Chicago, and he was giving me a ride home from a show, and there was this one dude that was in the street, middle of the street. And, you know, we had a pretty clear, we were in Chicago, and so we're going down like that Argyle area and everything, and we have a pretty clear street because it's so late at night, right? And it's it's like maybe 2:30 in the morning because I had a late show and I stayed to talk with people and stuff like that. And Mike is giving me this ride back, and we've got the windows down and everything. But then we're at a red light, and we see a red light away this guy who's been in the street, and we could tell from the distance, is just running in the street, no shirt on, everything. And then Mike just goes, let me roll up my window because this nigga is making me nervous. Rolling up the window is not both like a power move. Sometimes it's also a move of like, I really don't want to look at you right now. And so the cop knocks on the window again. He's like, hey, keep the window down. And then Tyreek is like, yo, just give me my ticket so I can go, right? And as an African American audience member, I was like, oh. You know? And so then cop tells him one more time, he's like, yo, keep the window down before I take you out of the car. Matter of fact, get out of the car, right? So he just immediately decides like, no, open this door. Open the door before I break the window. Open the door, right? And so then Tyreek is like, okay, damn, all right. So he unlocks the door, and then they pull the door open, and they start pulling Tyreek out. He's like, okay, I'm getting down, damn, right? And now they're pushing him down and everything. And he's like, hey, careful. I just had surgery on my knee. And they're telling him. And then the guy, you know, the same cop as before, is like, oh, that's convenient. You didn't have surgery on your knee in the car when you couldn't keep the window up. And I was like, that's not how knees work. And so they got Tyreek down flat on the ground. I can't remember if they handcuffed him or they zip tied him or they just had him with his hands right here. And you gotta keep in mind that this is all for like some speeding. Like if you're speeding and they catch you, they just arrest you because you're speeding that much, you know? Like if you're going the speed of the temperature in Arizona, you're just... you're just going to jail. But all of this happens, speeding a little bit, right? And then, you know, he's on the ground, hands down, everything. He's trying to call someone to let them know that he's gonna be late, which is courteous. And then, you know, I don't know when in the sequence this happened, because then this is from a different angle, but I watched something that was fully put together, right? So I don't know if this one was on police body cam, but this was just like a part of the footage. And then, you know, Tyreek said something along the lines of like, yeah, another black man trying to drive in America, right? And then the same cop as before says like, oh, I'm Cuban, don't play that shit with me, right? Which isn't quite, like I see where he was trying to get, but no, the 2 points kind of miss each other, right? And then, you know, there was another player who had stopped his car and got out just to see what was happening because he saw Tyreek's car, Tyreek on the ground and everything. And so then he's trying to call somebody, and Tyreek is telling him like, yo, call whoever. I don't know if it's like the GM or I don't know who he wants him to call, but he keeps saying the same name. So then that guy goes, okay. But then the cop sees that guy and goes, yo, you can't stop there. Get back in your car. You can't stop there. Get back in your car right now. He's like, okay, I'm getting back in my car. I was just trying to see what's happening. Don't worry about what's happening. Get back in your car right now. Drive off, right? And he's like, okay, and even as he's moving towards his car, the cop was like, you know what? You too. And then takes him. And it did get to the point where I was like, are they gonna arrest the city? Because I'm not gonna lie, when you drive by, you get curious. You're like, whew. You know, maybe you're in your car and you drive by a little slow. You're like, is that Tyreek Hill? And the cop's like, you can get some too. Like, you know? But it just got me to thinking, like, what, all of this, and our expectation, the fact that we expected it to be worse than it was, you know? Because I want to be clear about something. Tyreek Hill was, if you watch the tape, he was being an asshole because he thought he could get away with it, right? He thought he had enough money. He thought he had enough like access or proximity to maybe how his white friends move, you know? That he thought he could be an asshole and get away with it. And I want to be clear, the cops in that situation were also being assholes because they thought they could get away with it. But only one of those two parties was at work. Do you know what I mean? Everybody has a bad day. Everybody can't be perfect, and some people are assholes through and through, right? But being an asshole isn't illegal. One of those parties has a gun, has the ability to kill, has the power to move people where they want them to go, you know? And it's a terrifying thing because my thing is like, take race out of it for a second, right? The way that the police are allowed to move is what creates the expectation. It just happens to get to a certain place with black people more often than not. But it's the way that we're all police and the thing that we all allow as long as it's happening to somebody else that keeps the system intact. You know? And so I've watched the police do all manner of things in different videos to different people, right? But there's a certain place we let it get to in our minds where we just accept that, like, oh man, you disrespected a cop, you about to get your ass beat. Why is that? Do you know what I mean? Why is that? Because I'm not trying to make it as if race isn't an actual issue in it. It's like inextricably linked to it. But at the same time, trust me when I say anybody can get it. I've watched so many videos of people, kids, you know? And it's because of the way that we let police move and also what we ask police to do, right? There should just be a scanner. If you're speeding, we'll catch you. And I don't have to talk to the dude with the gun. That would be nice. That would be so much better to just, I was speeding, you got me, that's my bad, I was speeding, and now I don't get tapped on the window by a dude that I know is armed that's not having a great day. You know? Because I've even watched, like you wouldn't believe, you know, I've watched my white friends move around the police in a way that I could never imagine, right? But I've also watched them. There's a weird leveling off that happens when it comes to policing, where sometimes white people get loud or get violent with the police, and the police go, I'm white too, so like, let's nix that now. You gotta get your ass beat today. You know? And I've also seen black police tuning up black kids, right? But it's also the expectation that we have of police and the way that we allow them to move that like leads to situations like this. You know what I mean? It's terrifying to be pulled over by the police, just in my view, as a black person. Not even because I'm like, man, this cop's definitely gonna be racist. It's more just what can happen and what they can get away with that's terrifying. And I know that we're not all feeling the same way, but in my opinion, we should all be terrified. Because everything's well and good until it happens to you. And trust me when I tell you it can happen to you. In college, I had a friend who was getting a little drunk, right? He was pretty drunk. And, you know, he got loud with a cop. And I was trying to, you know, dissuade him. But I was doing it from a distance, like a coach. You know what I mean? Like I was... You know, I was like, hey, I know you white, but you're gonna get tased. I'm telling you. The way you moving right now is taser behavior, okay? That white skin can only protect you for so long. You about to get that ass beat, I'm telling you. I've seen too many videos of people doing what you do, and they never end well. And they didn't tase them, but let's just say I did eventually have to yell out, I'll see you back at the door. I I don't want these problems. What a month, you know? This is a lot has happened. Taylor Swift's album dropped. And OJ died. White women are having a month. This is... Wow, this month is for you specific. The two best things that could happen happened for you. Wow. You'd think this month was really named after a white woman named April. Like, incredible. Nah, Taylor Swift is breaking so many records. Like, I'm sure she's breaking them now as I'm speaking. She released her album, it hits 300 million streams in the first 12 hours. It's like, never happened before, ever. And people are freaking out about reading into the lyrics of every song. There's like scavenger hunts, there's everything. And this is the thing for me with Taylor. A lot of people trash Taylor, and I don't know, I don't get it. If somebody likes something, let them have it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it brings people joy. It's not hurting anybody, except maybe Taylor's exes. It's hurting nobody. Like, people are having a good time and stuff. If anything, I hope it makes the world a bit more compassionate, you know? There are a lot of people that like Taylor, and the people that don't get it. But I hope that the people that like Taylor will be able to give some grace, because I think that Taylor Swift, she does for her fans what wrestling does for dudes. Do you know what I mean? Like, because if you're not a wrestling fan, you're like, what are they even doing? Why are they moving all stupid? It's just... But if you get it, you're in it. And you're like, you just don't get it. You weren't there, you know? But they're very similar, you know? If you don't like it, you don't get it. And you're like, who likes this? And it turns out the answer to both is millions of people. You know? Same way that there are a lot of little girls and young women out there that want to be Taylor Swift, or older women that see themselves in Taylor Swift. I think every man in here has looked at a wrestler and... Every man in here has watched some wrestler at some point and then walked away like, I wish somebody would with me. Like, I wish... I would just... There are people that listen to Taylor Swift songs and feel it, like truly feel, like in their bones you can tell they feel the song. It speaks to them in a deep way, and they've never been in a relationship at all. Like Taylor's describing her breakup in an exquisite fashion, but then a person who's never been through anything is like, oh my God, yes, yes. It's just like that time this other totally unrelated thing happened to me, yes. Same thing with wrestling, you know? Wrestling storylines will tear you up. You know? Like when a wrestler turns heel and he turns on all his friends. Guys watch that and we're like, just like Greg. Triple H, he really evil. Oh. I didn't grow up with money. I think it's funny when people make a lot of money and they're known as new money, you know? And people how they feel how they feel about it. You know, like a lot of athletes are new money, a lot of entertainers are new money and everything. But nobody ever talks about new poor. We never talk about new poor, and we don't feel bad for new poor. A new money backstory is always inspiring. It's always like, I came from nothing, and I studied hard, and I played football to the best of my ability, and then I got a scholarship. Got a scholarship to a good school, a scout school. And then I played every day like the scout was there every day. I put my body on the line, and I still studied as hard as possible in case football didn't work out. But you know what? I had a great game in front of a scout. They brought me out. Next thing I know, I'm getting drafted. and now I'm one of the top earners in the NFL. We love a story like that because it felt like all you really needed was to do your best, and you could make something out of that. So we love new money. But nobody ever talks about new poor. Not only do we not talk about new poor, we don't really feel bad for new poor. Yeah, I mean, you ever hear a new poor story where it's like, oh, we've actually, as a family, we were kind of a dynasty. We were rich for 250 years because we owned a lot of farms. Yeah, we owned a lot of farms, and we were big in tobacco, and so as the farming industry lended itself to a more industrial tobacco industry, we profited, and it was my great-great-grandfather that actually sold his shares in the tobacco company, and he had other ventures that he wanted to go into, and he had some sons, but only one of the sons really had kids, and so all the wealth just kept getting consolidated. Less and less people had kids, so then it was all down to Trent. And Trent took some big swings with crypto, and it didn't go as planned. And so that's why Trent is working at this Piggly Wiggly. And why he's not a very good sweeper. He doesn't really understand the broom needs to touch the ground. He just... It is genuinely hilarious watching someone rich try to do a job. It's a little disheartening, but you're also like, look at him go. Oh, I remember my first experience with new poor was a kid in my neighborhood. I didn't always live at the best neighborhoods. I'll put it like that. And there was a kid when I was little that moved in, and you could tell he was new poor. We were playing. I think we were just playing in like this lot, and he walked up to us, and he had just moved in with his parents, and you could tell he was new poor because his name. You could tell he was new poor because his name was Thurston. And I remember when he said it, and there's a thing with kids where, for whatever reason, and it just is what it is. Sometimes kids take a certain shine to each other, or they don't like each other, or whatever. But we liked him as soon as we met him. We just really did, and he was so earnest. He's a sweet kid, and so we were just like, you can play with us. We don't care. And we didn't even really have a concept of money in that way to look at him sideways, right? We were all just kids. But when he said that his name was Thurston, I was kind of like, ooh. That's the most punchable name I've ever heard in my life. So, look, I tell you what, we gonna call you 30. And if anybody asks why, just say you did something real bad 30 times. And so we used to love hanging out with 30. And 30 was new poor because his family had been rich for a long time. They probably owned a few farms. But 30's dad lost it all in the .com bubble. I don't know. Yeah,
I guess if you don't know anything about it, back in the day when the internet was very new, a lot of companies were like adding these online sides to their brick and mortar stores, which was obviously super profitable for some businesses, and for some businesses it didn't matter at all because it was about the infrastructure of being able to send everything. But we didn't know that initially, so there were some companies whose stock price went up just because they had a website. And then it all came crashing down when people started looking for returns on these incredible stock prices. But most of these companies just had like a website with a broken link. And so, you know, you couldn't pull your money out fast enough, and 30's dad didn't pull his money out at all. So they moved in next to us. We take walks and stuff. We like walk around neighborhood once in a while and everything. And there was a dog. There was a dog that was in the yard of one of our neighbors way down the street. And this dog was a big dog, and he had like a big thick collar, and he had a chain that he would wear, and the chain had some length to it, and the chain was around the tree. And you know, 30, he hated it. He hated it every time he saw it. It made him sick that there was a dog that was outside chained up against a tree. It didn't matter how much room he had to run around and stuff. He just didn't like the concept. And he'd bring it up. Every time we passed by, he's like, they got that dog chained to the tree like some kind of animal. And I was like, yeah, 30. Crazy stuff. And look, I'm not even saying that is right. I'm just saying it was a very big dog. Like it was, like every time 30 would like protest that he want to go over there, he's like, I just want to like let him free. You should be able to run around. I was like, all right, but okay, listen. At that house, they live with that dog, so they probably know something we don't. Maybe they tried the whole freedom thing out. Maybe they used to have 2 dogs. That's a big ass dog. Maybe I'm not saying you have to love it. I'm not saying it's not wrong. I'm just saying that they may have tried other things. Maybe they tried making them inside dog. Maybe they used to have more family members. So you see what I'm saying? And there was one day where we were walking down the street together, and he peeled off from us, and he did it without saying anything, because I knew that he knew if he said something, we would try to stop him. But he just started walking over towards that house, and I told him, I was like, hey, I'm pretty sure that's a dog from the Sandlot. So you really don't need to be playing games. Don't go over there, right? And then even as we saw him peel, we were like, 30, where you going? 30, where you doing? 30. Started saying it slow like it was his real name. 30! Get back over here. And this kid climbed the fence, jumped over, and the dog is like laying down, but he's not asleep, but he's just sort of laying in the grass. And 30 jumped over the fence, ran over to the chain, and the chain had no lock. It was just wrapped. And so 30 pulled it a little bit, released the slack from the end of that chain, and the whole chain just drops to the ground. And now the dog has not been moving. The dog's just sort of laying there. But the dog heard the chain drop, and he felt the slack release on his collar. And the dog turned around and looked at 30, and even the dog was like, are you sure? You must be new poor. And so the dog turns around, and he just, I don't know, just, you know, like when an animal is made of muscle? When they just have like phenomenal National Geographic level power? This dog whipped around and just started charging at 30, right? Now 30, in his very sweet mind, he thinks that this dog is bounding towards him for a hug. And so he actually starts to bend down and open his arms. He's just getting a wide stance. Now the dog, because the chain did have a ton of length to it. I want to be clear, this dog wasn't wrapped up against a tree like some Tom and Jerry cartoon. This dog actually was bounding for a while, and he was bounding so fast that like, it was either all 4 feet touching the ground or nothing. Like the dog was like this or he was like this. I've never seen a dog float like that. Like the dog is coming at him like a bullet. And from where we were standing, by the way, all of us had been yelling run. We've been yelling run since we saw that the chain had no lock on it. And so then you see 30, just arms open, but even he started to be like, I've never seen this sort of reaction from a young pup before. And the dog is bounding towards him. And as it starts to really get close, 30 immediately just turns around and starts to run. But his wires are so crossed, he's still in the crab stance. So he's like, ah! And he grabs the fence and he climbs up the fence. He climbs up the fence so fast that he doesn't even try to get over the other side. He just slams to the ground on the other side. And he gets up and he dusts himself off. And he walks up to us. And I'm like, I told you that was the dog from the Sandlot. Why would you go over there? It's your new poor ass.